What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Left-Handed Girl, which is directed by Shi So. This is a year for the the female collaborating partners of their uh, lauded male partners previous from the previous year to have their due. We When's last we saw Mr. Sean Baker, he was with Honora, and when's last we saw our brutalist Brady Corbet. He was, directing that. Now, for both of them, the ladies that helped get them there are now doing their own films. And so now it's time for them to repay in kind. So for Sean Baker fans, he is a co-writer and editor on this movie, which is Taiwan's official selection into the Oscar race. Netflix is releasing this, and I got an advanced screener of Left-Handed Girl. So let's talk about it because it's an international film, which is a territory I do not get to go into much this year, but I want to make sure that I do because there's a studio who decided to go heavy into international film this year and also light on audio description and likely light on dubbing. So Netflix here has chosen to dub, which at least helped me follow / understand the movie to some extent. So even though I didn't have the audio description to accompany it, it was better than sitting to a whole bunch of people speaking Mandarin for 2 hours. Well, it's not 2 hours. It's under 2 hours, like an hour 47 or something. But so that was nice, at least. The fact that we got an English dub cast for this. And so I had some reference. It does mean sort of like the same thing that I had when I reviewed Nouvelle Vague recently, that I can't really comment on the specific actors and their performances. So I have to sort of comment on the film as a whole now, because I also don't have audio description for visual references about the sort of neo-realism that we're going for here, where they actually built like a noodle stand in this night. I know shop is not the word. Is shop the word? Night mall? I don't know. And had to figure out how to shoot in a way where it wasn't obvious that they were shooting, because it was too distracting for in and around this. So like, they're not on a set, they're in a real place, and then they built the thing there that they needed, and they shot with a very limited crew. So honestly, for this to be Netflix's next international play after Nouvelle Vague, it feels very much like I feel like this is so appropriate. It's so inspired by the same way that Jean-Luc Godard shot Breathless, where he was trying to do a lot of in the moment takes and not, setting up the whole crew and hiding cameras so that people couldn't see them, all those kind of things. So I feel like that approach is used here, but I only know that because I get press notes. So I don't get audio description, so I don't really know how that works out. So like the contrasting of the vibrancy with the sort of the dark themes of the movie, I don't get any of those notes. I don't, I'm limited to just being able to follow the basic structure of the plot and the story, which is something, because a lot of times I don't even get a dub. Like a lot of films, I'm going to be reviewing international Oscar hopefuls this year from studios that had the money to pay for a dub and an audio description track. At least one of them, something. And they won't be, I'll be listening to films completely out of my language. So, yes, at least I got the plot of the movie, which is a mother and her two daughters kind of struggling through life, um, in Taipei. I think I got that right. And Netflix is asked not to give too many, uh, to let the audience discover the movie for itself. But I feel like it's hard to. There's a mother, there's two girls, they're grandparents, and the grandparents, one of the girls uses their left hand, and the reason why it's called left-handed girl is because the grandparent believes that that's the devil's hand. And I don't know how to not mention that because that's kind of what the movie is about. Other than that, you can enjoy it for yourself. That is what the movie's about, and I was able to pick up that without press notes. So, because they talk about it enough, they talk about how this girl who has a dominant left hand shouldn't use her left hand for those reasons, which you'll find out more about as you watch the film, but at least that's the reason, in case you're wondering, why is it called Left-Handed Girl? That's why. It's not one of those like idle hands things where like the left hand just is like doing its own thing the whole time and like killing people. But yeah, it's one of those things that really hammers home why I want more world cinema to be audio described for blind audiences, because there's something like interesting perspectives culturally from all over the world that don't necessarily hit us here in America. Like this, it does not feel like a uniquely American thing or a uniquely cultural thing to us. Or I guess in my case, even like a white thing. Like it might be something that is strong in Asian culture, but not, but me as a white dude, I have no idea. Like I was not raised with any knowledge of my left hand being, I'm also not left-handed, so I've never heard anything about that. So I don't know, but the fact that I found this in an international film set in Taiwan reminds me of how many themes and ideas and stuff that I'm constantly inaccessible to, because I don't speak every language in the world. Even if I spoke some languages, I would only be eligible for that film, for that country, right? So let's say I was bilingual in Spanish and English, so it opens me up to being able to hear and understand anything that's spoken in Spanish or has Spanish audio description. That still rules out a giant chunk of of European countries, of Asian countries, African countries. Like it still rules out a whole swarm of countries. But and opinions and differences and representation and stories that can be told. I love that Sean Baker just kind of steps back on this one, but like is there to help and produce, and that's the reason why Left-Handed Girl got made, because she'd been working with him the whole time ever since Takeout, and has been right by his side, and finally, I saw in the press notes it was like after Red Rocket that they finally got the financing for this, even though they had been sort of mulling over this concept ever since Takeout, ever since she mentioned the concept, this story about the left hand being the devil's hand. So I don't know that Netflix has another play for the international category this year, so if this is it, then they're going to throw all of their weight behind it in the category, because Nouvelle Vague is not French's submission for the Oscars. I'm like 98% sure on that. So I think it could. Neon is not getting 5 slots. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. No matter how hard they try, the international branch is not going to give them 5 spots. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to go one studio to rule them all, one studio to bind them. It's not happening. There will be at max 4. Someone else is getting into this race. Will it be Left-Handed Girl? Maybe. I think the film is charming. I have to grade it on a surface level as if I was given a film that was in English with no audio description, because essentially that's what that is. So I was able to follow the story. I liked the story. So in this case, Left-Handed Girl is getting a fresh score from me because at least they threw a dub on it. So I was able to follow the film. Um, do I think I would have enjoyed the film more with an audio description track? I don't see how not. I don't see how that's not possible. Because once you give me more context and I understand more about the movie, then the score would go up. But do I think uh, when I live in this binary world of thumbs up, thumbs down, fresh, rotten, you know, things are one or the other, uh, then I have to, it answers certain questions. Did I like it? Yes. Um, would I recommend it? Yes. Would I recommend it to blind people? I, you know, that's up to you. I mean, you're going to get an international slate of nominees this year that likely maybe one of them will have audio description. And so if you're looking at 5 nominees and one has total access to audio description, and there's another one that has dubbing but not audio description, and the other 3 have nothing, and you at least want to have some sort of clarity in the category, you know, to compare against, so that you're not like, well, the one film that I saw, I guess that's the film I'm rooting for. Then I guess watch Left-Handed Girl. But I totally understand why blind audiences wouldn't want to watch a film without audio description. It's not the it's not the easiest film to follow and understand without audio description. It's not a film that is. There are a few couple I've seen a couple films where I'm like, this is one person in a room talking by themselves for the duration of the movie. This is not that. There's a lot of stuff that happens. They change locations. Um, and I gotta believe that anybody who's worked with Sean Baker has a directorial flair to them. So there's probably things happening here that would need to be translated visually. So I think we're missing a significant chunk here as a blind audience. But the story is very interesting, very intriguing, and I need more of these stories. So I am somewhat in support of Left-Handed Girl. So it is not my highest scored international feature. I guess that might be Nouvelle Vague. We'll see how the year goes. But yeah, I'm gonna give Left-Handed Girl a 7.1 out of 10. I think it's a very interesting story. It feels very Sean Bakery. It feels very much like the regular people, a life that's been lived in. It feels like somebody who has worked as a protege under Sean Baker. So if you like Sean Baker movies, you will like this. If you don't like Sean Baker movies, it'll be interesting to see whether or not you would like this, because it is also a filmmaker trying to find her own voice, separate of Sean. But it's hard to say. This is not wildly different. This is like sitting there and going like, okay, Brandon Cronenberg, what do you have being the son of David Cronenberg? Oh, look, it's a horror movie. I'm so surprised. Shocked. So, she didn't remove herself that much from it's not like she was like, you know what, Sean, I love what you do with the movies, but I've always wanted to do a Western. So we're gonna do a cowboy movie. Like, it doesn't feel like it's so wildly removed from what Sean Baker would do. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side. And I have to turn off my camera manually now because my shit broke.